those flyers on campus. We got that information off of the Change Anything website. They have a wide variety of printed material you can choose from. We also created a Twitter and Instagram buzz with hashtag #ChangeAnything and incorporated its use throughout our printed material. We sent out a media alert to the UV Review and the Daily Herald just to get a story opportunity out there for people who might not have seen our printed material. We also responded actively on all of our social networks on how to direct students to the Student Wellness Center and how they can receive assistance. Our second strategy was through highly interactive methods of face-to-face communication, get the information out to young people on campus. We did this by teaming up with professors and approaching department heads to attend classes, just to give a little shout out and a blurb about the Change Anything campaign before a class started. While we were in those classrooms, we encouraged youth to make connections with their peers, to notice signs of mental distress. We created a Facebook page titled Students for Changing Mental Health and encouraged youth to share their personal experiences with mental health issues. We teamed up with the Student Health and Wellness Center to create a booth on campus detailing signs of mental distress. For our second objective, we were dealing with veterans and seniors. Our first strategy was through highly interactive methods of face-to-face communication, inform veterans and military communities of methods to pay attention to emotional well-being. So we did this by hosting a booth on campus during community events to distribute printed material of the campaign. We distributed the same material to the VA centers in person, just so we could explain the importance of the campaign. We also hosted an open house at UVU in the Contours of Knowledge with UVU mental health professionals. And we made sure to send out emails to key military service people and VA centers so that they could attend that open house. Our second strategy was through highly interactive methods of face-to-face communication, inform senior communities of methods to pay attention to emotional well-being. We visited retirement communities to distribute printed material of the Change Anything campaign. We offered free mental health consultations with the UVU health professionals. We also hosted a booth at the Aging Alliance event to get the message out of the importance of mental health. And finally, we know seniors are trying to stay active, so we distributed flyers at gyms that they frequent so they can know the importance of mental health alongside their physical health. For our last objective, our first strategy was through highly interactive methods of face-to-face communication and moderately interactive methods of social media, educate minority communities on how to detect the 5 signs of emotional distress. So we did this by reaching out to minority communities and distributing flyers, and also on their Facebook page. We also visited the Multicultural Center to direct guests to our website. We reached out to school administrators so that they could share the Change Anything campaign with their students. Our last strategy was through highly interactive methods of face-to-face communication and moderately interactive methods of social media, educate veterans and military communities on how to detect the 5 signs of emotional distress. So we did this by moderating a Facebook discussion. We teamed up with VA hospitals to share the 5 signs with their patients. We created an Ask Me Anything on Reddit so that military personnel had an anonymous approach to getting information and how they can get help. And finally, just to make things a little bit more fun, we decided to create hashtag Vets for Mental Health. And veterans were encouraged to share their sign of mental health just by making their face match one of the emojis that dictate which mental distress they were doing. It was just meant to be fun. And
on to the planning calendar. So no campaign can function without some good old deadlines. Planning the events that need to be met in order to move the campaign forward is a critical step. Our planning calendar consists of the necessary steps that must take place before we can actually execute the plan. Here we can see on our planning calendar that on August 22nd, 2017, the beta client and sponsor announcement will be done. September 15th, 2017 will be the project brief, the rules and guidelines, timeline, and intent to enter form needs to be mailed to the PRSSA. The intent to enter form and entry fee will be received by November 7th, 2017, and we will receive an acknowledgement letter on November 14th, 2017. Now, on to the execution calendar. This is the good stuff. In order to see our goal met, the strategies and tactics that were discussed earlier on need to be strategically placed and executed at the most efficient and proper times available. We only have 30 days in which to see everything accomplished, so each event needs to be precisely planned in order to take advantage of the little time available to us. Here you can see that each key public, with its respective strategies and tactics, have been plotted out and assigned a day, or days, during which they will be executed. Critical elements that must be performed early on, such as printing and distributing flyers and contacting certain individuals, have been set at appropriately early times to allow for optimal effect throughout the campaign. On to the budget. Just as important as knowing what events will take place is knowing the cost for each one. We function mostly off of volunteers, so our costs are rather low. Our budget is set at $300. Each tactic has been carefully itemized and plotted out so that we know the cost for each tactic, which will ensure that our expenses will not exceed our budget. Here you can see that each key public has been accounted for and that the dollar amount for each tactic has been determined. Our budget is insufficient in and of itself to see everything through, so our sponsored credit swoops in to save the day, allowing us to do more than we could have on our own. At the end of the day, we anticipate the total cost of the campaign to be $1,235. Please forgive the typos, but the numbers are appearing incorrectly on the slide. So $1,235 total, $980 from our sponsored credits, which would leave $255 out of our own budget. This is $45 below budget. So on to the evaluation. What do we believe we'll be able to accomplish? My colleagues have spelled it out for you earlier on in our presentation, but as a recap, by implementing our strategies and tactics, we plan to educate 1,000 students at Utah Valley University by March 15th, 2018, encourage 1,000 members of the public to pay attention to emotional well-being by March 15th, 2018, and to educate 1,000 members of the public about the 5 signs of emotional suffering by March 15th, 2018. Doing this will propel us further towards our goal to change the culture of mental health in America so that all those in need receive the care and support they deserve. This is our presentation, and I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks.